I am live again. I know you can't see me right now. I'm just going to wait until I know that we're completely live on LinkedIn. And then when we are, I'll start talking to Sally and I'll bring Sally on screen as well. I hope you're well. I know that you've just got a picture on screen at the moment. I'm just making absolutely sure that everything's connected properly to LinkedIn. We're going to be talking about content. We're going to be talking about how much content you should create, what type of content you should create, what that looks like, how you know whether your content is working. That tells me that we're connected to LinkedIn. So you can do me a favour, actually, if you're watching this or listening to it, you can do me a huge favour, and that is just drop us a comment to let us know that you're here. If you've got any questions about content, you can ask Sally, but otherwise just drop us a comment just to know that you're here and we're live, because otherwise we won't know if anyone's
People
here
think
or not.
we're crazed.
I'm going to press the button and bring us on screen. You're on screen now.
Thank you.
We're both on screen,
Thank
actually.
you. Hello, everybody.
So, yeah, just explain, because I know who you are, just explain to everyone else who you are.
Okay, I'm Sally Green and I run a marketing strategy company. So what I do is I build marketing strategies for people. So not individual bits of tactic. I build a whole strategy which has really got a strong foundation for all your activities, so you know when you're going to do things, how much they're going to cost and what effect they have. And so that you've got a comfortable strategy that you can build your growth on.
Because what I find, which will start us going, Jade Handy says excited to be here. Thanks, Jade. Thank you, Jade, because now I know that people are actually watching. Jade, if you've got any questions about marketing strategy or content, or if anyone else has who's watching, drop them in the comments below and we'll get them answered on here. As you can see, we are live from George Street Social in Oxford. Rather than doing this virtually, we decided to do it live. What I see at networking is a ton of people who buy something. They buy social media marketing or email marketing or print marketing and that sort of thing without thinking about the strategy first. Why is that bit important? Why is it important to get that bit right first?
If you buy ad hoc bits of marketing, so you think, oh, I'll just do an ad, or I'll just do a LinkedIn or a Google something or something, I don't quite know how they're linking together, but I'll just do them all. A, you're wasting money, because how do you measure, how do you know what you're trying to achieve behind that piece of marketing you've just ad hocly done? And B, it confuses your customers, because although you're only putting it on one channel, your customers will be over all of those channels, and if they're getting different messages at different times, unstrategized from all these channels, they're going to think, oh, well, do they mean this? Or, hang on, they said that the other day, and then I saw that the other day, and then oh, well, and now I've come across something different. What are they doing? And you'll just confuse your customers. Okay. So strategize it and make sure you're saying it with one voice, very clearly, in the same way, and not overwhelm your customers. That's why you need a strategy.
So how do you work out what that voice is? When and how do you work out what your voice is before you start putting it out there?
The first thing for your strategy will be, what are my goals? My goals are, I want to make sure I am the market leader in London by the end of next year. Then you want to know, who is my audience, who am I talking to, and absolutely analyse really carefully who that is. And if anyone ever says, oh, my audience is just anyone who wants to buy it, I will personally come round to their house and shoot them. Because nothing could be more pointless. It's not everybody, it's specific people that you are trying to sell to. Okay. And once you know who the specific person is, and actually make it a persona, give them a name, an age, have they got children, where do they go on holiday, what does their office look like, because then you know how to talk to them. Then you know you want to have a polite voice or a jovial voice or a jokey voice. Then you know what your tone of voice is and how you're going to talk to them. And then you're absolutely going to more likely target those people more accurately.
Right, so it's not so much about your voice as making sure that you're talking to the right people.
In the right tone of voice. So okay. If all your customers are 18-year-olds, you probably don't want me talking to them in a suit. You want Stefan talking to them in, I can see them wearing a really trendy T-shirt. See?
A really for a 52-year-old, I think
too.
That's...
See, and he's got really sticky uppy hair, whereas my hair's all, ridiculous. So, you have to, and it does matter. I know we're sounding very funny here, but these things matter. You've got to recognise what your audience is wanting to hear, because they'll reject you instantly if you get it wrong.
Right. So everyone knows that they should think everyone knows that they should create content. Let's start with that then. What is content? Because we talk about content marketing. What is content, and what does that actually mean for people who are trying to market their business?
Content is a host of things, but what you're doing in your content is you are using your content, and I'll talk about what types of content it might be, but what you're doing is you're telling your story. Is part of your content, you are giving your customers, your potential customers, your why. Why do I do what I'm doing? What kind of business are we? Why are we good to work with? What do you get when you work with us? Are we fun? Are we jovial? Are we serious? It's that kind of content. How much do we know about how we can help you? Because your content's going to be a host of things. It might be what we're doing now, which is a bit of video and talking, that's great. But equally, it might be a film. You might have a film on your website, that's content. You might write, and I know, Stefan, you do this all the time, you write really good blogs. And they are absolutely part of your content. That's an absolute part of your why. You might do webinars that people can come and listen to and talk to, and they might be recorded webinars so people can watch them later, or they might be live. That's content. Any kind of post that you put on social media is a piece of content. Wherever you put it, whatever channel, whether it's a bit of animation, whether it's an image. So all those images that you're putting on Instagram, that is all content. And it has got to be part of your why. So don't make it consistent. The other thing, you also might have, you need to think kind of outside the box with content, because it also might be ebooks or greetings cards that you can sell. All of this is content, but really think sensibly. So podcasts and sound, we all know, but every time you go into a let's say Debenhams, when they existed, or the Westgate, and someone rushes out to a shop and squirts perfume at you, that perfume is content. Because what they are doing is saying, smell this, do you like it? Isn't it great? And they are encouraging you to talk to them. Yeah. So perfume is content as well. So anything you do where you are connecting with your audience is content.
If you are watching, and if you're watching, I'll look at you rather than Sally for a second. If you're watching and you've got any questions about content or marketing strategy, pop them in the comments below. If you've got any questions, pop them in the comments below, and we'll answer them live. I'm with Sally. I'm with Sally Green, and we are at George Street Social in Oxford. Sally is based in Oxford. I live just outside Oxford, so we decided to meet up here rather than do this virtually. So I'm putting out this LinkedIn Live. We're recording this as well. Yep. We're recording the audio of this as well. That's our microphone down there. When I say we're recording the audio, is that content as well?
That is, but there's something also really important to say about content. Content is the stuff you write and the stuff, and then posting it up, and you can, you've scheduled it all out to go out, and you sit back and think, oh, done it, all done. The most important bit of your content is you are speaking with your audience, not at them. So when you put something out there, try and find out what they're saying back to you. So content is also the answers you give to any questions they give you. So if you're posting on LinkedIn and people are writing lots of questions or saying that's really interesting, your content is also your answers to those questions, because it's a conversation you're having. It's not just me going out into the street with a trumpet and bellowing at people. That is content, but it's not how you're best going to engage with your audience. You've got to respond, hug, talk, giggle, all of those things. That's all content as well.
Okay, and you'll notice every so often on this, I stop and say, and ask people to pop stuff down in the comments. I've been speaking at a networking event this morning, and I invite people to talk back to me and ask questions and that sort of thing. Where are we? 9 minutes in, and first time I'm getting in one of my sound bites. Every big opportunity starts with a little conversation. It strikes me that content is an opportunity to start a conversation.
And it's exactly the same. It's not just because you're speaking. To be honest, your Instagram is a brilliant content, and you'll get loads of people going, God, love that picture. Don't just leave that. Go, brilliant, why did you love it? What's good about it? Why does this make you feel good? Because really what you're doing is finding out more about your audience so you can market to them better.
Okay.
So you'll find, so if they all say, we really love the colour blue, that comes out of all the pictures you put out there that are focused on blue, then you might think, sadly, all our products are pink. Maybe some of our product development, now I know that about my customers, maybe we should repaint everything blue.
Right. I think there's some analogies with networking here, because sometimes people maybe change and go to a different networking organisation, a different networking club, where there's suddenly a different type of business in the room, much bigger businesses, much smaller businesses, and I think people then need to adjust what
Completely.
they say in their 40 or 60 second introduction, the content that they put out there on LinkedIn to make sure that they're appealing to that audience as well. Am I sort of getting that in the right
Completely, but
order?
at the same time, I'm sure you agree when you're networking, you've got to be consistently you. You can't, unless you're selling a different product, if you're selling your business, you need to be the same you on every platform. You may be using different language, you may be doing it in dance, and I know Stefan is absolutely about to do some very interesting interpretive dance. That may be the right way to do it, but you've still got to be utterly Stefan.
Yeah.
Because that comes through. If you're not authentic and true, that comes through, shouts out of. If you've got it wrong in content, it's really loud.
So when I'm on LinkedIn, I'm me.
Yeah.
I put slightly different content out on Facebook. Still me,
Yeah.
but on Facebook I'm likely to talk about the rugby, music,
Yeah.
what gigs I've been to, what I'm doing with my sons. On LinkedIn I tend to stick more to business-related
Yeah.
subjects. Not that it's not me anymore, just that I'm aware of what the audience is looking for on those different platforms. I talk about respecting the platform because our language on LinkedIn needs to be different to our language on Facebook, to our language on Instagram. I'm just going to pause and say, if you are watching this, and for the people who are, if you've got any questions, pop them down in the comments and we will get them answered. If you're watching this on replay, put your questions in the comments anyway, because I'll tag Sally and we'll make sure that we get them answered as well.
As much as we can. I mean, we're making it sound. I mean, it's a complicated thing. If you're going to do content as part of your business, you need a content strategy. You need to have thought carefully about who you're going to target with what.
Okay.
So if you're about to launch a new product, gradually launch it with content going up to the launch date. Say, this is about to appear, isn't that exciting? And then get more intensely excited about it on your platforms. But strategize it and make sure that your content works as part of your campaigns, not against your campaigns. So if one of your marketing campaigns is going to be, I'm going to market my products to be part of the green, ecological new way of doing things, that sustainability is absolutely all about our products, that's tremendous. If at the same time you have content going out there saying how much of a waste of time you think sustainability is, that's a big clash.
Okay.
And you have got to make sure that you have strategized and structured all of your content alongside and within all your campaigns. They've got to be saying the same thing in the same kind of way, because you do see, particularly around sustainability actually, in fact Shell did a fabulous one about how green a lot of their products were and how marvellous they were, and then they had a huge bit of content that went out at the same time where they thought to a different audience, but who knows where your audience are, about how proud they were to be drilling a new oil bore. This was uncomfortable and people notice and you lose respect really quickly.
Right, because, I'm thinking about that. So I've spoken at a networking event this morning, piece of content. I've recorded that. So that will be the same voice, me saying the same stuff, but what we put out on LinkedIn, what we put out on YouTube and what we put out on Instagram will be slightly different edits of that. Same voice, same message.
Okay.
We'll just edit it slightly differently and I'll probably transcribe some of it and have that out as a blog post as well. That's all right, is it?
Perfect. That's absolutely perfect. As long as you've got the voice right for your audience. And please, please, please remember that your audiences don't just sit in one place. The same person will probably watch you on LinkedIn, and that same person will look you on Facebook. They'll probably find you on Instagram, particularly if they like you. If they like your content, they'll go, oh, I wonder if I can find any more on Instagram. I'm going to go over there. So, yes, they're different audiences, but they may well be exactly the same human being.
Okay. How do you... I mean, we talked about it right at the top of this. How do you really work out who your audience is, who they should be, who you're talking to?
It depends what you're selling.
Okay.
So that you ought to know roughly. If you're a business running already, you will have customers, and so you already have a template of what your audience looks like, because they should be your customers. Okay, so you need to keep those customers. I think they look like this. They're this age. They buy this kind of product. They buy it this often. They've got children, whatever they are. So you should have a rough template of what your audience is. If you're looking to expand your audience, well, there are two things you could do. You could do some customer research and find out whether your audience is out there.
Or launch a new service. That's where I was sort of thinking with that.
Exactly. Or launch a new service, or go onto a new channel. If all your customers that are buying your product are actually absolutely on LinkedIn because you're very, very B2B and that's all you want to do, but now you're suddenly running a service for, I don't know, Generation Z, whatever they're called now. Actually, launch yourself on a new channel. Launch yourself on Instagram and say the same you, but put it on Instagram in we're using imagery rather than very sensible, down-to-earth blog posts.
Okay.
So, but it's the same product, but you're just marketing it in a slightly different format on a different platform.
Okay. I think that's with a business-to-business service. Sometimes people have different offerings for different types of businesses, different people that they're working with.
Yep.
Can that work in the same way as well? Can you have separate audiences for different things?
You can, exactly. I mean, you might. I'm trying to think of an example now. Okay, yes, I sell my product. I will build strategies I'm doing a strategy for the Side Business School. Big corporate, big conglomeration. The strategy building is going to take me 6 to 10 months.
Yeah.
But I will also build strategies and do build strategies for much smaller businesses who are perhaps only have a turnover of 2 million.
Yeah.
And it will probably take us 4 weeks to do it. But it's the same service, it's just the structure is slightly different, but it's exactly the same service, but I'll just launch it slightly differently. So I'll talk less about how incredibly important it is to do the budget and how we're going to do this and how our ROI is going to work, and because that's all very corporate, and I'll make it much more manageable and say, okay, we're going to talk about your voice, we're going to make you feel comfortable on film, we're going to make you feel comfortable speaking out doing content live, so that you can do that. So it's the same product, it's just two different audiences.
Okay, I am live here at George Street Social in Oxford with Sally Green. If you've got anything to ask, put it in the comments below and we will get it answered along the way. You've recently done a presentation at Oxford Brookes University. You were telling me where the people who were listening to you said that, well, you can tell us what they said.
They're young people, and they said, I walk about when I present, and I dance, and I have good examples and all that kind of thing. And they all said it was one of the most engaging pieces of content they'd seen that year. And you think, oh, that's nice, that's cool, because you forget. Don't ever forget how engaging your content is. You've put it all together and thought, oh, it was really hard work and I don't care. But just remember that people coming at you for the first time are going to be quite buzzy and going to go, wow, that's amazing. Look what she's done. That's fantastic. Just because you know it very well does not mean that your audience aren't going to be wowed by the first time you do it. So just remember that you are wowing people when you put content out there.
And how do you start to create content? Because I put a ton of stuff out there.
Yeah.
If people are struggling to know what they should do, you talked about a content strategy earlier on.
Yeah.
How do people know what they should put out
There's
there?
no right answer, and it does depend who your audience is. If your audience are millennials and are used to looking at things with imagery, then put images out there. If your audience are professional financiers, they're probably going to be more comfortable with you writing them blogs and written pieces. So you should go and do a bit of research into your audience and what they're doing, and try and find where their watering holes are. Go and sit where they sit for a while and see what kind of content is being put out there. So probably if you went onto LinkedIn and put a lot of interpretative dance out there, as you're thinking of doing, Stefan, I think probably LinkedIn might not be the right place.
It wouldn't quite work.
Possibly, because you've never seen it on LinkedIn before. And I'm not saying you can't break molds,
No.
but if you're starting out, go with the flow. See what's happening in your marketplace, see what people are doing, and follow. If there's nothing wrong with copying with your own material roughly what's going on in that marketplace. Don't stand out, yes, by saying something interesting, but don't make people go weirdo.
Yeah, because if you're an accountant, I mean, at a particular time of year, at budget time of year,
Yeah.
accountants will all be putting out broadly the same content, talking about the budget,
Yep.
but they'll all put their own
Stamp on
particular voice on it, and the rest of us can do
Exactly.
similar things, can't we?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Go and find your audience, and there will be LinkedIn groups, there will be Facebook groups. Go and hang out in them for a wee while and see what it feels like, and how often people are posting, and are they focusing entirely around what's happening politically, or are there some people there saying off the wall things that are quite entertaining? You know, see what's happening and see what's going on. There's nothing wrong with once you've felt your way through it and people have started responding to you, for you to do something a bit quirky.
Okay.
And that's a good idea. It's a good idea to occasionally, because Stefan, you walk around Whitney
Yeah, talking to
and
the camera.
talk to the
I do,
camera.
yeah.
And that's not something that every networker does.
No.
And it does make you think, oh, that's interesting, I want to talk to him now because he's doing something quirky. So don't be afraid of doing something other.
Okay.
But make sure you can do what everyone else is doing first.
Yeah, and I think also make sure that if people are going to react to you doing something different, that you're ready for the reactions.
Absolutely. And actually, if everyone says, if you find everyone saying that's rubbish or didn't you just hate that, please don't do it
Still
again.
useful feedback.
Yes,
Okay.
it's very useful, but the usefulness is don't waste money on it again.
So Jade is still with us. Thank you, Jade. Thank you for the question. And Jade is asking, how do you turn content into a sales funnel?
Okay, you need to know it's going to be turned into a sales funnel. So really what you're doing is the content will be at the top
That's
of the...
interesting. So you need to start by understanding.
That's what it's going to do.
Right,
That's
okay.
where you've put it. You're putting it at the top of your sales funnel, and you might be saying, your content might be, I'm trying to think of an example, let's say I'm trying, cushions. The top of your content might be, people with bad backs really benefit from having lots of cushions around them. That kind of thing, and you have a little bit of a blog about that, and maybe a video about someone plumping up cushions about them. And then further down that funnel, as people start engaging, you might say, yes, but it has to be the right kind of cushion. And not all cushions suit this. You have to have the right possible kind of cushion, and they need to be firm. And does everybody else feel that's the case? And see what people say. And then the further down the funnel people get, people are going to say, the thing is, you need our cushions. Because what our cushions do, we've heard that everyone is saying, yes, cushions are absolutely vital, and that the right cushions are really vital. And we, whatever your company is called, believe that we have the right cushion for you. Would you like to know more? Because then you're doing a lead. You're doing leads, and then you say, if you want to know more, click here and we will get in touch with you. Because then you've got them right down the bottom of your lead funnel, and they have turned into genuine leads, which your sales team might be able to follow up.
I hope that answers the question, Jade. If you've got any follow-up questions, pop them in. I'll bring them up on screen and answer them again. For Jade's benefit and anyone else who is watching this, Gary Vaynerchuk talks about becoming the authority of content. If you talk about your stuff more than anyone else, you become the authority in that field. It's what I'm trying to achieve in networking by talking about it a lot. The very wonderful Marcus Sheridan, hello Marcus, if you are watching us, says that the person who controls the conversation controls the market, controls the industry. And I think that's turning content into a sales funnel for me means talking about my stuff more than anyone else, so that if someone wants to know about networking, quite a lot of people will say, oh, Stefan Thomas has done a video about that, go and look at it. Which also means then that if someone wants a speaker on networking, they're likely to find me. So I think from Jade's point of view as well, know that it's a sales funnel, and also know that if you're putting out content, it becomes a sales funnel. If I'm launching a new service, I typically have several weeks of content ready to go.
Yeah.
So I start with, this is when we want to bring the new service out, and then
Yep.
work back to
Yep.
how do we launch it, how do we put out the first posts talking about it,
Yep.
up to the point of how do we say to people,
Yeah.
here's where the PayPal button is, this is how you buy it.
Yeah.
So I think that's what you said, isn't it? It's knowing that you're starting it
exactly.
as being
And if you're, please, depending on how big your business is, but please make sure that the sales team know that the marketing team is doing this with content and that they are doing it to be a sales funnel. Because if you work in silos, so marketing are doing their little thing, happily doing their marketing stuff, and they go, oh, sales funnel. If you haven't spoken to your sales team, they're not going to benefit from all of that sales activity. So make sure that A, know, B, talk to them about it before to make sure it's the right kind of stuff, and that they, because they know their audience better than everyone else, make sure it's right. But make sure that they're aware that on the second Tuesday of the month, this kind of content is going out. So they can start chasing those leads and start getting some of the customers they've got that they want to be repeat customers up and looking into that funnel. Talk to your sales department about it. This isn't just you in marketing doing this. This is a kind of cross-silo experience you've got to make it.
Yeah, because I talk about spotting buying signals. So that person who's suddenly paying attention to all of your posts about cushions and saying, I've got pain in this part of my back, what sort of cushion would be good for that? That's a buying signal, isn't it? That's someone who you need to engage with and say, and actually, we sell one of these cushions and it's the best one on the market. That's where you need to spot the buying signals that come in as a result of the content.
Exactly. And that's where it's not just you, the marketing person, need to speak to them, it's the sales people that need to speak to them. Because I'm not saying the marketing people can't sell, but sales people do it better. They're just better at it. They're kinder, nicer, less fluffy, and they get the sale done quicker. If you want to speed up your direction from lead to sale, make sure the sales people know it's happening. So you may have recognised that sales message because you're reading all the comments, but when you recognise, alert the sales people and say, look, all these leads are showing they've all got really bad backs, sell to them.
Right, because that's something, I mean, I use a number of tools to spot who's engaging with my content, who's clicking the links and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I have heard it said often that you need to get buy-in from everyone in the organisation. Everyone in the organisation might just be you.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
For me, it's me and Sharon and so on. Paul and Chris as well.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, their organisations are either just them.
That's true.
If there are lots of people, you need everyone to know what's going on. When I used to do work with a fashion retailer, a part of the work that we did was make sure that the Saturday staff understood the marketing messages, because then they would know how to talk to people about them, and that's the same, I guess, in any organisation.
It's exactly the same, because you're all dealing with the same people. It just depends. The further down the funnel they get, they're going to talk to different people. If they're at the top and it's all being nice marketing nurturing up at the top, so you're cuddling them and offering them different coloured cushions and all that kind of thing, you get to a point in that funnel, there are lots of ways of talking about this, it's a traditional way of thinking about it, it gets to a point when they become a really hot lead that really you don't nurture them anymore because they'll get bored, and you have got to start positively selling to them then and getting them to press the buy button.
Yeah. One of the things that I learned in my business was about the half-life of enthusiasm.
Yeah.
That you've got that moment when someone's really hot to trot, and you need to move on them there and then. I hope that's useful to Jade and anyone else who's watching as well. I'm just going to pop this back up on screen for a second. I'm still here, I'm still talking to Sally. If you've got any more questions about content, pop them in the comments below and we'll answer them. Importantly, go and connect with Sally on LinkedIn. If you're not already connected, go and find her, Sally Green on LinkedIn. That's her LinkedIn profile picture, which is up on the screen right now. And make sure you connect with Sally, because it will be worthwhile. She puts a ton of content out about marketing generally. I don't know if Sally's noticed, I'm sure she has. I continue to gesticulate even when it's not us on the screen.
So do
I do it on podcasts as well. If you've got any questions about content or about marketing generally, put them in the comments below. I will pull us back up on screen Where do you want people to connect with you if they're enjoying what we're talking about this afternoon? Where should
LinkedIn.
they find you? Okay.
They can find me on LinkedIn, or if they want to speak to me directly, they can find me on. I've got a website called Sally G Marketing.
Okay.
You can find me there, and there's a contact me button. You can speak to me even, but really find me on LinkedIn. That's where I hang out.
Fine. And the sort of content that you put out there on LinkedIn?
I put a large quantity of general advice about tactics, really, about how to make a content strategy work, for instance, how to make a Google ad work, what is a good piece of animation, what's a good film, and I'll give you examples, saying this is brilliant, but I'll also give you bad examples, because there are lots of them. Yes, this is great content, this is crap content. So, because you can get it wrong horribly. There was a fantastic one that I saw. It just said it was just a big picture that shouted at me, OxyClean, 150 cleans in a box. Cleaning what?
Yeah.
Is this for my dog? Is this the carpet? Is this my car? I had absolutely no idea, and that's all it said. And you think that was a waste of their energy.
So that's got through probably several levels of organisation before it actually goes out there as well.
I know. People, just make sure you think about what people are going to... Show it to somebody else before you post it.
Yeah.
Even if that somebody else is your brother, just show it and say, does this make sense? Or even, is this a pretty picture? You know, maybe if you're advertising food, make sure you haven't got slugs on it, or all the people make stupid mistakes.
No, I tend to run my stuff past a couple of bits. Sometimes Instagram reels and that sort of thing I do on the fly, but other more important stuff.
Yeah.
Particularly if I'm launching something, I get other people to read it who don't know what I'm launching, and ask them if after reading it if they do know what I'm launching.
Yes, exactly.
Because
Absolutely.
if someone who I'm not closely associated with doesn't understand it, then that's not going to it's not going to help me by putting it out there at all. We can sometimes be quite close to stuff ourselves to not really know whether it's
completely
working.
Or you just assume it's going to work because you like it. That's not the case either. The other thing you have to remember is a lot of people go, oh no, I posted that before, I can't post it again. Yes, you can.
Yeah, you can.
Not everybody is going to see your thing first time.
No.
Not even remotely everybody. And if you think that's just not true, post it again. And even if you don't think about, oh, maybe I won't post it tomorrow, post it again tomorrow. If it's urgent and you want to do it, put it up again tomorrow, because you'll get different people, or put it up at a different time of day, because you'll get different people. So, I mean, I often ask people, they say, oh no, everyone will have seen it. And I'll say, how far down your LinkedIn feed do you scroll before you stop?
Yeah.
Nobody reads all of LinkedIn. They're not going to have seen it before.
No, I regularly, really regularly, recycle pieces of content.
Absolutely.
Now, I've created a lot over 10 years or so, but I still recycle stuff. Interestingly, well, maybe only interestingly to me, but an Instagram reel I did weeks ago has suddenly taken light in the last few days as well.
Exactly, because
Thank you very
things
much.
change. Things change, or the political situation changes, or something new has been launched, or your customer's done something, and then, don't be afraid to tell people about it again.
I am talking to Sally. I'm going to wrap up in a minute because we've talked for quite a long time. Is there anything else you want to tell people about content that we haven't covered already this
It's a
afternoon?
very brief thing, but if your company is more than just you, don't forget that lots of people put up content. You will probably find that sales can put up really good content because they've got a really good connection with their customers, and they've got some really good stories about what their customers are saying.
Yeah.
The other people you might want to think about is customer service. If your company is big enough to have a customer service people that are taking phone calls, they have really good things to say, because they might know that everyone's finding it a bit difficult to open the box when their package arrives, and they're just missing the simple place to cut through the box. That's a great bit of content. So everyone should be able to write content in your business.
And make sure that everyone's talking to each other about what sort of content they're putting out there.
Absolutely. It's doesn't have to be just be you to build up a bank of content.
Thank you for talking.
No, thank you
I've
for having
enjoyed
me.
it.
So have I.
We have been, I'm going to look over there, we've been live at George Street Social. Thank you to Sally Green for joining us. I'm going to put that up on screen again if you're, and actually I'm going to put that up on screen because Sharon has just said, hi Sally.
Hi, Sharon.
Sharon, in terms of hi Sharon. Sharon's just said hi Sally. Sharon's obviously watching us somewhere. I've been talking to Sally Green. Thank you very much for joining us and listening to us. I'm going to press the button any second now, which takes us off of LinkedIn. If you're watching this on replay, if you've got any other questions or comments on it or anything like that, please do pop them in the comments box and we'll answer them. But thank you very much for watching.